Space Marine 2, should you play it? I think you should. If you like really crunchy, meaty, visceral gameplay. Even if you don't know anything about the Warhammer 40k universe, which is kind of like me, I'm sort of a beginner here. I know very little. I learned a tiny bit at the beginning of 2024 when I played Owlcat Games' Rogue Trader Warhammer game, which was a phenomenal CRPG if you haven't tried that out yet. So I learned a little bit about the universe in that game, and I remember seeing a trailer for this game while I was playing that game and went, ooh, this looks like a cross between like Halo and some other stuff that I've played, Gears of War. I think I might like this. I finished the campaign over the weekend with the early access and absolutely loved it. Like, the campaign is absolutely amazing. And what I'm currently working on, let's dive into the game real quick and we'll take a look at it, is the co-op multiplayer stuff, which allows you to go in and basically all the missions that you did through the main campaign, which you can run by yourself or with friends in co-op mode. That campaign where you're following in the footsteps of Titus, there are squads that help you in your missions while you're playing as Titus. And what you do when you're playing the online PvE multiplayer co-op version is you're actually playing as those other squads with the other people. So you run the same missions, but you're running them from the perspectives of like the B team, like the reserve team. It's like you've got Halo Team 1, Halo's Team 2, Halo Teams 3, and you're off playing Teams 2 and 3 when you're doing the multiplayer. So I think that this game is going to appeal to a couple of different demographics here. So first and foremost, I think if you just like really good grimdark science fiction first person, it's not even first person, it's third person shooter, sorry, with just lots of really cool methodical combat and just devastating finishing moves where you're just killing aliens left and right. This game's a lot of fun. Even if you know nothing about the lore, it's a lot of fun. Now, if you know the lore, there is so much more at play here, especially when you get into the armor and the various chapters and classes you can play and everything else. Which brings us to, well, we can take a look at the classes here in a minute. The big thing is going to be, once you finish the main campaign, you have the campaign missions here. Then you have the PvP side of things over here, which I'm not even going to touch on because I don't PvP. It's there for the people who want it. I'm currently working on operations. I completed my first one today, and it was a lot of fun. I ran it first as a single player with bots, and then because they give you NPCs to run it with you if you don't have other players, and then I ran it again with 2 other players, and it was much quicker, much more streamlined, heck of a lot of fun, really good time, and you can go back and play through these. And the idea here is that the launch version of the game has 6 campaign missions, and it also has 6 operations, which are the other side of those missions that you ran playing with the other teams. And once you run through these the first time, you do repeat these after that, and it earns you levels and gear and cosmetics, and that's sort of the end game for now. Now, as I understand it, they have a roadmap which has this entire season pass of content that's coming out, and then there's going to be a DLC, which I did pre-order with my, I think I got the gold edition is what I got. So at some point there's going to be a story DLC that we're going to be able to play through, but in the meantime they're going to be adding other content to this as they go along. So the first thing to think about is that if you look at this from the perspective of coming in and playing a single-player third-person shooter game, there's probably 12 to 15 hours of gameplay that you're going to get out of the single-player / co-op storyline, the first 6 missions that you do. Then on top of that, just to run these all for the first time, you're probably looking at another, I would argue, it could be as long. It just depends on the difficulty level you're playing at and the people you're teamed up with, because you can choose different difficulties here. I keep mine on minimal because I'm a baby and I suck and I need aim assist. But there are multiple types of ways you can play. There's the average threat. There's the substantial threat. What did that just tell me? Lower the recommended for new difficulty. No, I don't want to do that because I'm still, you have to be level 5. And then here's recommended level 10, and this is for recommended level 15. So they actually want you to level up a bit more before you actually graduate to the next stages, which is really, really cool. And they tell you all the different things you get as a result of that. But depending on how long it takes you to run these missions, this could easily turn into another, I would argue, 3 to 6 hours of gameplay, possibly as much as 10 to 12, depending on how methodical you're going to be and if you're going to 100% go for completionist versions of these zones. So if you think about 12 to 15 hours for the main campaign and add another half a dozen hours onto that for this, you're probably looking at around 20 hours in terms of storyline between the main campaign and the operations. And remember, you don't have to play this online with anybody to do any of that. You can 100% play the operations by yourself if you want to with the NPCs that they provide you with. So you don't have to stress too much about if you don't want to do the online component. But if you do, that's when you get into the whole, okay, there's potentially hundreds of hours of gameplay here for people who enjoy that squad-based, sort of repetitive grind, grind, grind. Let's get all of our classes maxed out. Let's get all the gear maxed out. Let's get all the perks. Let's do all the things. Let's get all the cosmetics. Because let's be honest, there is a ton of stuff to do here if that's your jam. And I think that this right here, this is the part of the game that is going to appeal to the Warhammer 40k fans more than anything else because it allows you to really immerse yourself in this environment. But even if you're just someone who's coming over from, you like Halo Infinite multiplayer, you like Gears of War, this is going to provide you with that same level of online co-op and PvP. But you have 6 classes to choose from: Tactical, Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, and Heavy. Each one of these do different things. Each one of these has its own unique ability, and then you have weapon sets. You can have loadouts that you can set, and everything here can be leveled up. So starting with your character, you have a perk tree. This goes from level 1 to 25, and these can all be filled up. You have core abilities, abilities that are things that help your team, gear-based abilities, and signature abilities. And all of these require you to earn these coins to spend, and you earn the coins by doing missions. There's also other things that are required, like level minimums. So, you get one at level 2, then you get another at level 3, another at level, I think, 4, excuse me, so on and so forth. So you have the perks for your character, but then you can go into each individual weapon, and there's a lot of weapons to choose from. These are just the ones that my class can access. Other classes can access different weapons. There's melee weapons, there's swords and chain swords and two-handed maces and hammers and all sorts of craziness in this game. So then you go into here, and there's essentially different tiers of weapons. So you start off with your standard, then you get into the master crafted, then you get into the artificers, then you get into the relics, right? Each one has a different visual. And within these, you can go here, like for example, you level up to unlock these. But then you get into the perk trees for the weapons themselves. So as an example, I leveled up, my first perk was to increase the magazine size by 15% so that I could get more ammo. And then I can go down here and say, what's my next one? I'll probably take the ammo thing. I really like more ammo. And I'll probably take the quicker reload. That's a huge one right there. So you can earn your way up and get perks for different weapons, and there's all these different weapons you can look at and play with. And again, it's different for each character. Like this guy uses a thunder hammer, but you can also use your fist, I guess, to power fist. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And then you have standard issue chainsword. And then the Vanguard has access to other things. Either the sniper, you get access to like sniper rifles and things that you don't normally get access to as other players. So lots of stuff to go through. Each one of these has 25 levels to go through, so there's a lot of stuff. But then we get into the cosmetics. And this is where things get really crazy. So there's basic armor sets that you can look at first and foremost. These are the ones that you excuse me, you unlock as you level up and complete missions. This is achieve victory in 7 missions on operations mode or matches in eternal war mode to unlock. So there are things that you can do here. There's also heraldry, which is the allegiance to your chapter, and you can go in here and change that based on whatever chapter you want to be associated with. This gets into the lore of Warhammer 40k, which I know nothing about. Then there's also going in here and looking at the various chapters, and all of these chapters have different armor sets. This is my favorite so far. The Raven Guard just looks absolutely ridiculously cool, and I can't wait to earn that. But there is a lot. There's also some that are associated with the DLC down in here. So there's going to be a lot of different ways for people to come in here and really customize their avatars and get the most out of the game that they're wanting to get. So I say all of that to say this. I think that the game is absolutely worth it. I think what you get out of it is going to depend entirely on what you're expecting. The campaign, the story of this game, some people might call it relatively short, having 20 hours of gameplay. I don't consider that to be short, considering a lot of other games I've played, whether it be Halo or Destiny or Call of Duty, when they have an online multiplayer component that's a separate thing from the storyline. Those story missions tend to be 5, 6, maybe 8 to 10 hours long. Getting something here where you're going to get 12, I would argue 12 to 15 hours out of the first initial missions, and then more beyond that when you do the operations, because they have their own story associated with them. Again, your mileage may vary depending on how quickly you play and if you're doing a completionist versions of the zones or not, but I do think that provides quite a bit of value just for the people looking for a single-player adventure. And then if you want to delve out into the multiplayer stuff beyond that, you can. But the other thing to think about is that you can still go grind all of these missions on your own. You don't have to run it with other people. You can legitimately do this with the NPCs that they send along with you, which are made up of the classes that we just took a look at earlier. So if you wanted to go grind armor sets and grind gear and get levels, you can totally do that on your own without needing to do any of the multiplayer. But I would also argue that part of the fun of this is doing multiplayer, whether it's with the random people that you can find through matchmaking or with your friends and your gaming community. So for me, I think the game is totally worth it. I went ahead and pre-ordered, I believe it was the Gold Edition, and was happy to do so. I had a lot of fun in the storyline campaign. I would happily run that story campaign again because there was stuff in there where I was just, the graphics were so amazing. There was some literally heart-stopping cinematic sequences and action sequences, and it was just a damn good time. And now it's got me wanting to go out there and like read Warhammer books and learn more about the universe, even more so than I did after I played Rogue Trader by Owlcat. So great game, highly recommend it. Love to know your thoughts. Drop them down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch. Play a lot of games. This is my full-time job, everybody, so hopefully see you in the next video or live stream. Until then, stay safe. For the Emperor, brother!